The case for Christ, the case for heaven, the case for miracles, the case for faith, the case for the real Jesus. These are all the books that I have in Lee Strobel's The Case series. I do not have a physical copy of The Case for Christ. And yes, this one I got for 40% off, and I haven't taken the sticker off, but moving on. This Case for Christ that I do have is kind of more like a devotional, but I'll get into that later on in the video. So the original Case for Christ followed Lee Strobel's journey from atheism to Christian theism. It was basically him using his journalistic, expertise and, skills to investigate the evidence for Christianity, and he ended up becoming a Christian. So he uses those same skills in these books, except instead of covering so many, kind of more general topics, like in the Case for Christ, he's covering more specific topics in these ones. So there are two things that I really like about this series. One is the way it's written. So he's interviewing people. That's basically it. Basically him just interviewing people. And I like that because these books are just written, you're just reading the dialogue of an interview. It makes it a lot more engaging, it makes it a lot more interesting. You can see here it says an interview with Dr. Craig S. Keener. And he does talk, before the interview about why he's interviewing the person, why this person is a good choice, their expertise, their credentials, and all that stuff. And during the interview, he presents objections to them, doubts, challenges, and all that stuff. I mean, they're good interviews, but because interview style, to me, it's just a lot more interesting. It's not, it's not like this dry writing. It's just interesting writing, and it keeps my attention, and I like that writing style. So you'll notice a tagline in all of these books, like at the bottom, like sort of like a subtitle, and it's "A journalist investigates." A journalist investigates. A journalist investigates, because that's what he's doing. He is a journalist, and he is investigating. He is investigating, the objections, the claims, and the evidence for these topics. And yeah, he uses those skills, and it makes it very interesting. Good writing. So the second reason why I like these books is... Well, first, let me say this point first. These books are not exhaustive on this topic, on the topic. So, for example, The Case for Miracles, it's not an exhaustive work on, the case for miracles. It doesn't go into all the nitty-gritty details, but it has, as you can see, recommended resources for further research. And that is the second reason why I like these books. Between the notes and their additional resources, even though these books are not exhaustive, there's enough notes and resources for you to go so, really far into the study of these topics. So I like having these books around, and I like having the different ones in the series, because I like having them as sort of like what I would call reference books in my personal library. So, like I said, let's say this Case for Miracles is the only book you have on miracles, and you read it and you're like, you know what? I read it, I liked it, but I want to know more. I want to go further. I want to hear more objections. I want to hear more evidence, more claims, more, all the stuff, more evidence and stuff. So you go to the notes, you go to the references, and then you have tons of other books to read, tons of other articles from both non-Christians and people of other worldviews and Christians, and more evidence to look at, just a whole bunch of stuff. So that's why I like them. I like having them because, it's just, let's say you're like, hey, I want to look more into this topic of miracles. So you grab the Case for Miracles, you flip back to the notes or to the references, and you say, oh, here's an interesting book that kind of goes into more of the technical details. Okay, I'll read that book. So I like having them for that. I kind of view them as reference books. And I like those kinds of books, so I like having them for that. So those are the two reasons why I like them. But do I recommend them? Yes. But don't expect too much from them. Don't expect too little from them. That is the important thing. Very quickly, this one it's not really a devotional. You could use it as that, but it's more like daily readings. It covers every topic. I mean, tons of topics. It covers problem of evil, the resurrection, biblical manuscripts. Yes, the spine is ripped there, but it covers so many topics, and it's not extensive either or exhaustive. It does have some notes, for further research and study, But I really like it because it's just they're just good refreshers, on the topics and everything. But like I said, don't expect too much from this series. Meaning, don't expect to just pick up one of these books and have all your answers and doubts, and all your questions answered. But also don't expect too little. Don't expect that you're not going to get any answers. So don't expect too much, don't expect too little. Between the notes and resources, I think these books are a great starting point, and it is definitely a series that I think anyone, if you approach it with an open mind, anyone, both non-Christian and Christian, can get a lot out of. And I think it's something that's really good, and it's definitely a series that I would recommend.